All right, we're going to go ahead and open this public hearing for the CDBG public hearing. Today is Tuesday, the 13th. We're right on time at 3:31. Getting going with this public hearing. This is a fairly prescribed approach. We want to make sure we follow the letter of the law, so to speak here. So I apologize. I'm going to read a little bit here. I am just going to note I'm wearing a mask today because I was sick. I don't want to get anybody else sick. I'm pretty much symptom free. I think I got it from some people that I know nearby here. But anyway, so I'm not going to kiss any babies or shake any hands today. That's why I'm wearing a mask on video. Just taking care of my friends here. All right, so we're opening up the public hearing. And we're stating the purpose of this public hearing is to provide citizens with pertinent information about the Community Development Block Grant Program, that's CDBG, and to allow for discussion of possible applications for the 2026 funding cycle. Grant money must be spent on projects benefiting primarily low and moderate income persons. The Southeast Regional Development Agency, SRDA, if you guys are familiar with the acronym, in which we as the town of Bluff are a member, is expecting to receive approximately $778,284, with $504,284 available for applicants. So that's the pool of money that we can apply for in this new program year. All eligible activities that can be accomplished under the program are identified in the CDBG application policies, which I believe we have sitting right here along with. If anybody ever needs to see any of those, they're available for anybody to review at any time. Several of the activities listed are examples like construction of public works and facilities, water and sewer lines, fire stations, acquisition of real property, provision of public services such as food banks or homeless shelters. A few more examples are neighborhood facilities, parks and recreation facilities, street improvements, child care centers, fire stations and equipment, public service transportation services, screening for lead-based paint and lead hazards. There's a long list here. I'm seeing a couple of pages of things that could potentially be eligible that we could apply for. We indicated that in the past, the town of Bluff has received one CDBG grant in 2022 in the amount of $128,383, which was returned. I want to learn a little bit more about that. I can't remember the whole backstory on that. Non-CDBG grants, we've received 10, 5 of which apply to the Cooperative Cultural Center and 5 for Bluff Town upgrades, including cemetery, community center retrofits, playground, etc. The town has handed out its capital improvement plan, which we have, which is part of our regional consolidated plan. This list shows which project the town has identified as being needed in the community. It was asked that anyone with questions, comments, or suggestions during the hearing, please identify themselves by name before they speak. The clerk will include your names in the minutes, and we would like to specifically respond to your questions and suggestions during the hearing. So, with that, I'll open it up for the public to make any comments. Don't have a lot of people here today, but we do have a couple of people online. So if there's anybody online that would like to make a comment about what CDBG funding we ought to apply for, or welcome you to put your name in chat, raise your hand, and we'll take that feedback. Malia, does that feel like we've covered our bases so far?
Yes, but I think we need to do a roll call.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We'll do a roll call when we vote, right?
Just as like opening the meeting, so
Yeah.
all who's present.
Okay, all right, so we've got Brett here, we've got Jim here, we've got Josh here, we've got Spencer here, we have Gary here.
Thank you.
It's on the record now, we're all here.
Thank you. For those online, you can either just go ahead and unmute yourselves or raise your hand. We don't, got a couple of you out there. If you'd like to make a comment.
Yes, I would. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you
Go ahead, Michael.
state your name for the record?
Yeah, Michael Havigan. A project that I've been seeking funding for is the Old Highway Improvement Project, which is I'm the C Roads Manager, and these are the roads that start at Navajo Twin Drive, 7th Street East, Black Locust, down to 4th Street East, and it was originally the old highway. We have a budget estimate from Jones and DeMille Engineering about it's approximately $1.1 million. The road surface would accommodate vehicles, of course, but also be wide enough for pedestrian and bicycle transportation. So that's a project that I'm hoping to find funding for somehow, somewhere. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thanks for the suggestion, Michael. All right, we'll give it one more second in case one other person that's online, we only have to work online today. Okay. With that, I think we've heard everybody who wants to talk. So I believe the next step will be to close the public hearing. All right, anybody on the council have a reason not to close the public hearing? All right, then with that, we're going to consider the public hearing closed.
It is 3:37 PM.
All right, thanks.
All right. For those online, we will go ahead and turn off our audio and visual, but we'll reconvene at 4 PM for the work session. Thank you.
Go. All right, well, we're back after our short break where we got some business done doing conflict of interest forms. We were here for our regular work session. Again, today is Tuesday, January 13th, and all of the council members are present for the work session. We also have Juliet and Karen here with us. And have a fairly short agenda. Although we may get into this, some discussions around priorities and so forth. So looking forward to a discussion with you all today. The public hearing that we just completed around CDBG, we do have our first agenda item, Leah, is to kind of talk a little bit more about guidelines, eligibilities, priorities for the town. So yeah, what do you have for us? I know you were doing some surveys and all those kinds of things.
Oh, man, it's been a busy CDBG. So as you discussed earlier, we do have this 2026 application policies and procedures. If anyone ever wants to look through it, it lives in my office. I've been referencing it daily. So where we're at currently, so thank you guys so much for coming in early today at 3:30 for that public hearing. That was a huge thing that had to happen before January 31st. At this point, I am completing those income surveys. I'll have those turned in by the end of the week, and then we will then hear if we are eligible to apply, but until then, I'll work on that application because it is due at the end of the month. So I will have that to you guys to look over by the end of the month. And I guess before that, we need you guys to vote on what we're going to put the funds towards. So that'll be, I'll ask to put that on next week's agenda. So
Is that something that CDBG requires a vote of the council as to the specific item that's being applied for?
that's, yes, I believe that's my understanding, yeah. And Erin is shaking her head yes as well.
So unfortunately, it's a little cart before the horse, and I do actually want to reference, Josh made a comment regarding the town of Bluff had received CDBG, a grant, that we did indeed turn back. But as referenced multiple times today, CDBG is very prescriptive. These are federal funds that flow to state, that there are a lot of entities touching, and so there's a pretty robust process that we have to follow in a pretty tight timeline. And so what Malia is referencing in terms of like, are we even going to be eligible for these funds is because community development block grants are specifically for low and moderate income housing areas and should be focused on those kinds of projects that benefit the greater good. Unfortunately, Bluff has not had an income survey done in a couple of years, and so we were required to complete one this year. It's a very lengthy process that Malia has been doing wonderful diligent work on. But the granting agency must receive back these surveys before, and then they have to tabulate everything to make sure that we are actually eligible as a low or moderate income housing area. Now, previously, when this had been completed, we did qualify. But it is kind of luck of the draw. So we send in a list of addresses, they randomize it and then send it back to the administrator and say, I need you to go out and contact these people. And then they have to fill out the surveys. And so it's really luck of the draw of like who gets selected.
In a small community like us, if you pick the wrong, whatever households that have higher incomes and
Total coin flip. And so that's what we're referencing is like, we might not even be eligible.
And
Which
based on, yeah, so I'm gonna jump in real quick to talk about that because San Juan County, very low income for two people, 24,000 annual income, moderate income for two people, 64,000. So that's what we have to fall between at this point with these income surveys.
Yeah.
For a family of two. I have the entire scale here if anybody wants to look at it. Yeah.
So it's a complete coin flip.
Yeah.
Then with that, CDBG of course does request that a public hearing be conducted. But you as council, based on, ongoing projects, capital improvement projects, would determine where the application is going. It does need to be very spelled out. Which again, is a quick turnaround based on our deadline.
end of the month is the application, so.
Yes.
And so when do you find out if you're eligible?
So I did a first bit of income surveys at the end of the year, and they needed 54 total respondents based on our population. And so I did,
It's like half of our town.
so I completed all of the surveys of the people that were in town. It was also kind of an inconvenient time because it was
Like
like
traveling, you're not
December
even here.
So I turned that in, they did receive enough, so then they sent 9 surveys back and I have another 9 to do, and it would have been until the 15th, but because of the government shutdown, they've extended it through the 25th. But the applications are due by the 30th, so they had a really quick turnaround. When I turned them in last, they had information to me by the day after they received them. We've received enough, but Aaron got to meet with Corinne of CERTA yesterday, and she wasn't able to indicate if we're wasting our time doing any of this stuff. So fingers crossed we're not, but we might be.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the hard work
Yeah.
and government hoops, right?
And I might just suggest to council too, like, I don't want this to be all for naught. This could be a good discussion as to, we know that we have capital projects that need to be addressed. So maybe we can kind of prioritize those, and then that would also help inform staff as to what additional funding we should be looking for. Is it all roads? Is it all CCC right now? Or should we split some time in how we're approaching, looking for funding? So I don't want this to be like, hey, Malia, you're on this, fool's errand. But I appreciate you, we all appreciate you looking at this funding opportunity. It is definitely possible that this is not our year, so.
Well, yeah, so, I mean, to me, it seems wise that, because of the risk involved, that perhaps we focus it on something we already have a lot of materials developed around, we already have budgets, we already have bids, and that, so that we're not like inventing something new from scratch necessarily, in the sense that then at least the work you're doing is like bring something together that you've already worked on versus a brand new project from scratch with, or 15 days to go or whatever.
How much is the pot of money again?
Well, it's 500,000 total dollars, but that's for all the applications for the region, right? So like, I don't know. That last one we got was 128,000, that would be, $100,000 would be 5 recipients getting $100,000. So, it seems like it's probably in the 100K type range that if something you get.
Yeah.
Is that, do you put in there exactly how much you're asking for?
Yeah,
then-
because we're gonna send in, as with the grant application, we say this is what we'd like to do and this is how much it costs. Another eligible activity that I saw that I forgot to mention earlier, of course, the list is still here, asbestos removal. So we could always think about asbestos removal for the CCC, and at this point, we know that that's gonna range about $30,000 to $50,000.
Yeah.
So because we know it's a small pool of money, if we have a smaller request, it might be that we could get that covered.
Yeah, that seems smart to me, not to shoot for the moon too much, and to, do something that's a fairly no-brain, not super hard application, and that will advance our interest of the town.
Yeah.
Does the staff have a recommendation as to what you think we ought to go after, that would make the most sense to go after?
Asbestos removal, actually. I think that we should apply for the CCC, the Cooperative Cultural Center. And I think that asbestos removal would be great as I'm working through our reallocations for the GOEO grant and then the cultural capital, because we do still have 41,000 left on that one. I'm finding that asbestos is one of the first things that we need to have done. And it's one that I'm the most concerned with us finding funds for at this point. Because I don't know, I'm curious if with GOEO, because they are a economic opportunities grant, they're gonna want to see it as more of an economic opportunity, and asbestos and demo, a lot of the other stuff that we still need to do first is still such small economic development
And it's
realms.
specifically mentioned as something that they cover.
Specifically mentioned.
Yeah.
Two quick questions, comments. One, for asbestos removal, I know that was something that it seems like more recently we kind of got like some quotes, ideas on. Is the 30, you said 30, 40?
30 to 40,000.
Okay, is that like pretty, it's just, I know it's difficult because we are not professionals at asbestos removal. Like, what would be the max amount that you think that we should apply for to ensure that like that entire thing could be handled?
Right.
What would be that dollar? And you can answer that later, but,
I mean, I think it's safe to go with 50, just to go about 10,000 over what we're thinking, because we are in a remote location, because prices of things are just continuing to go up. It might end up that we have a little bit more asbestos than originally expected, because it used to be a school and we've had all of those asbestos testing that was done while it was school, and I just want to make sure that all of those records are given to that individual, just in case there's additional.
I mean, as long as you write it such that if it comes, you ask for 50, they give you 50, and it comes in at 45, there's 5,000 other stuff you can do, you know, asbestos and other safety things.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, does anybody else have thoughts about this? In terms of what to prioritize for this CDBG?
would you also specify how long the grant period is for? Like, how long do we have to spend it? Do you know, or is that by?
That is a great question. I feel like I've just been focusing so much on this public hearing that I.
It's okay. I want to tie both of these back to the
Yeah.
Ryan's comments, but I'll
Yeah.
come to that after you guys.
Yeah, that's where I want to just,
Yeah.
if other people have, higher priorities, I have a few thoughts, but I hear yours first.
I mean, for me, I mean, it's probably because I'm on the ERC, so it's more where my head is, but, to your point that we've already got drawings and plans and everything made up for that, and asbestos has been a hang up for us. And I feel like if asbestos is out of the way, that might make further grant like seeking or, you know, dollar seeking a little easier, you know, if that's already done. So I guess that'd be my push. And then it fits in with the other grants, like fine and all.
Well, asbestos is the first thing that we'll need to do before we let anybody come in and demo. Multi-year funding up to 2 years is allowed for construction projects.
Up to 2 years.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
So one of my questions was, does the type of project influence the, I guess they're gonna decide whether we're eligible or not. But I was just thinking since part of our plan is for the, CCC is for daycare. That, you know, I mean, that serves a greater purpose of serving the whole area, not just Bluff. And I wondered if that might give us a leg up on,
That
which it
actually
is a workforce service grant.
So that could give us a leg up in the governor's office, the GOEO grant, the governor's office of economic opportunity, because it is actually offering a job, but it would actually give us a leg down in the CDBG, because the funds that we're receiving through CDBG are specific to Bluff municipality, which is why our income survey is only done within our borders. If we say anything about Navajo Nation, there is a chance that we have that conflicting funding pool, because the Navajo Nation receives their own CDBG funding.
Okay, but we're also looking at an aging center, which the majority of our population
Which
that
would be
does serve.
something that we would
So-
need to lean on more
Right.
for CDBG than the daycare.
But
Right.
all of this is to be greater than Bluff. We want to be greater, like, isn't it like, cause also isn't part of the thinking that we might do food pantry type stuff over there?
Right,
I mean, it's
right.
all not just for Bluff residents, but I guess you could just couch it and like, we do all these things that will benefit Bluff residents. Childcare,
Business incubator.
yeah, all
Yeah.
that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
if we're eligible, it's that, and yes, it's gonna benefit other people too.
Seems like it might be a good idea to use this funding for the asbestos, and I mean, I can't remember for sure, but that last work session we had where we were talking about the GOEO money. Potentially. Like. They potentially would not want it to go just to demo or asbestos removal, like I don't know if you got any further with that, but I feel like at the time we were talking about how they maybe wanted to see. Some progress with one of the, like the incubator or something within that.
That makes
funding.
sense.
Well, and the asbestos is good too, because it's a closed problem, it's a bigger problem, it's just not, it doesn't have to leave anything else, asbestos is out, that's done.
Yes, an easy way to spend the funds, have a completed grant.
I'm just a fan, like, it's a problem.
Yeah.
That no matter what happens with that building, even if we get rid of that building, it needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And so, and it's a safety issue for our community, no matter what, right? So like if we. And then you've got the numbers, hopefully the application is never easy with these things, but at least it's not something brand new.
Right,
Yeah, because Michael's, what did he say, 1 million?
1.9.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of us working on road stuff and, Aaron and I had a conversation today. There's some road stuff we need to talk about soon. Probably need to do a budget amendment in the somewhat near future to deal with some road stuff. But it feels like the amount of money we're likely to get here is like, and we do have a decent amount of road money coming in, from other ways, matching from the county and so forth, but I guess I would lean toward putting this toward the PCC as well, especially since asbestos is specifically called out. Well, if any other discussion on that, if not, I'll ask you all to look into our requirements of what kind of vote we need to have to approve that, but I think, what you're hearing here is positive for moving forward with that as the direction for the grant. And then we can, if we need to put on the agenda for our next meeting to vote on that purpose or whatever form we need to do that. And then let's just hopefully hear back from them on our eligibility positively and sooner rather than later.
Yes, agreed.
I mean, it does speak to kind of like, what a mess we're in, what I'm saying, in general, like the way we have to, or you can get randomly selected people, you might get high income people in a town that's mostly not. And then, we do help our neighbors no matter what, like it's built in the club.
Yeah,
We're always at cross purposes.
yeah,
And second homeowners are still apply if they're here more than 2 months a year, because on that income survey, are you here more than 2 months of the year? And then you complete it. It's like.
yeah. Well,
So that's definitely driving the numbers up.
this is the ingenuity we have to have as a small rural community and we're all in this together, so.
Mhm.
We'll see where it goes and, keep trying.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you,
thank you,
Malia.
thank you.
So the next agenda item is to talk about some, boards and commissions and committees that Bluff is involved with in one way or another. Gratefully, Aaron put together this really nice spreadsheet for us and some materials. I got a chance to look through, we're not gonna get through all of this today. But I guess, what I'd like to do is maybe start off with this first page, which are the ones that are in blue. These are kind of, items that are, maybe higher priority ones that we wanna make sure are covered. And that we've got figured out. And then I think. After we get through that, I'll ask if anyone has. Others of these that you've looked at that you're like, I'm really excited to participate in this or that, have some discussions around that. I had a discussion with a community member I just want to share. Regarding one of them as well, so. Maybe we'll just go with the order that we have them on the sheet. Utah League of Cities and Towns Policy Committee. What this essentially is, my understanding is every town that's part of Utah League of Cities and Towns gets 3 votes. So that means your votes are very diluted, right? There's like, and so, and you have to attend, generally you have to attend those meetings to vote. So my thinking is that it's probably not the highest and best use of 3 of our time to attend those, to be on those meetings all the time. The idea is if there's a bill up at the legislature that would impact us, that we feel strongly about, that might be a time where we want to try to get 3 of us on the call and, all place a vote and try to speak in the meeting. I think that's gonna be relatively rare where there's something that specific that Bluff is, really on top of. I have a legislative background history, so I think I will probably try to attend as many of those meetings as possible, just to keep up on what might be impacting us. And I would be willing to then just flag that for us, as a team, if there is something that's really high priority for us as Bluff. We do, if we're gonna have other people vote, though, I have to submit their names before the 26th. So I guess the question there is just, would any of the rest of y'all be willing to be our voting members. And that wouldn't mean you have to attend the meetings, but if we needed you to, then maybe we tap you to do it.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Spencer, Britt, anybody else want to do that, or?
I don't mind doing it either. I think the one thing that I have learned with just the Utah League of Cities and Towns stuff that I've done is that it's really good on catching things that we don't necessarily catch, things that are gonna affect us as a town, that it's like, whoa, how come I didn't see that one coming? But because they have their rural group that's really good at meeting these things, they're good at
That's
Oh,
my hope,
this
right?
kind of
Like, you
stuff
can't
out.
look at every bill file that comes
Exactly.
out, but then
Exactly.
they will highlight, hey, this might have a
Yeah.
big impact on.
Well,
the
and
town.
especially with the rural section, that because they have a whole entire kind of different department that it just focuses on. Hey, rural Utah, this might affect you and you might not have heard anything about it, and so.
So I signed up for those meetings. I have a couple of conflicts with work, but I'll try to be on those as much as I can. And then I'll flag for you, and if you guys want to jump on them, you're obviously welcome to jump on those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always trying to reduce standing calls in my life these days, and let us know if there's a particular one that was off.
Yeah.
If we're not a voting member, we can still get on
Oh, yeah.
and watch it all, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's just in order to vote, you have to be listed as one of the people to vote for your town, I guess. So only 3 of us can be listed.
And they are typically taking place on, like during the lunch hour, right? Mondays during the lunch hour.
Mondays, noon to 1:30, basically.
Okay.
But starting on the 26th. And then basically every week during the legislative session. So that's gonna be a big lift. I'm not gonna be able to do every single week during the legislative session, but I'll try to do as much as I can.
Okay.
And keep paying attention. And if we get one of those bills that we really need to pay attention to, like flag it for everybody.
Or, let us know if there's something particular, if you can't make it, you want somebody to be ears.
That might be a good thing too, is just like there's one of us on those calls at least. So if I can't do it, maybe one of the 2 of y'all could, or anybody could send in, but someone that could vote maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Spencer,
Yeah, I will email them because I think email them, so I'll email the voting members. There's a local emergency planning committee that Aaron, you have been involved with.
yes.
For the last couple of years.
Yeah, so it's at the county level. And so the emergency point of contact, which is currently myself, should be in attendance. And then it is great to have another member. It has been the mayor in the past, but. Open.
Yeah, so I'm obviously passionate about it being on the fire department, but I know Gary, you also have an emergency background, so. This would be one of those that if you felt like you wanted to take that role, I'd feel, great about that as well. And I'm also happy to do it, but maybe good for one of us that has that background. I don't know, what do you think? You wanna think about it?
I'd be fine doing it.
Quarter-
If you,
They're quarterly meetings, they're mostly in Monticello. Sometimes there's virtual options available, but they're hosted in Monticello, all members of law enforcement, emergency services. It's a great one where, especially as they're looking over like emergency response plans, it would be super great to have, just more eyes on how it impacts Bluff, given that we contract with the county for emergency services on a lot of items, so.
Does Anthony also sit on that?
I think he's invited, but doesn't necessarily, I don't see him as much, so.
Well, think that through and you and I can maybe share notes on that.
okay,
And you're the main point of contact.
I will, you all can change that though, especially as we have. It can always be changed, so.
It makes sense.
I mean, we'll talk it through, but I mean, obviously, if there's an emergency, I wanna know. I'll probably get paid anyway, but.
Still have, the authority to, issue like a state of emergency, so both the emergency contact and the mayor can contact and start the escalation process, so that's really nice that both. Okay,
The Salem County Tourism Advisory Board, Jen sits on this not as a council member, but as a business owner that has been appointed to the board. Would you just give us a little bit of background on why you think this is an important, group for Bluff to maybe have another representative?
I will indeed, and I do think it's important that Bluff has another representative, but this board basically approves the budget of how our county portion of tourism tax, TRT is what it is, so it's the funds that we collect as hoteliers and short-term rental properties that is supposed to be directly put aside to go for marketing of our community and on the county level, our county. So I think this is a great way for us to have some input and some control over how our tax dollars or our customers' tax dollars get spent in promoting the county properly. So I think it's a great board to sit on. I've been on it now for 4 years, I think. It is made up, there is a representative from Monticello, there's a representative from Blanding, and there's a representative from Bluff as communities themselves. Other than that, it is businesses who are associated with the collection of this tax.
and who from the other communities is currently on the board?
Monticello?
Trent would be planned.
No, okay, so it's not Trent, no,
Okay,
it's not Trent, because it's
Sorry, it's no big deal, sorry.
no.
Is it, Ben?
Ben is from Blanding, but
Hayden.
Monticello, Hayden, yes.
Got it.
thank
So it
you.
is the
Yes.
city, so the city managers, so it's part of- good to know.
Yeah.
And then Ben is the economic development director for Blank.
Yeah.
And it does not
Yeah.
need to be an elected official then? in
No,
this case?
I don't think so. No, I don't think we have any elected officials other than Linda was on it, but other than that, I don't
There are
think
other
it was
folks-
town council.
Are there other folks in town on it?
So I sit on it and, Dallin sits on it, from Bluff. I took Cindy Tomei's place when she died, was how I got on it. So it's appointed, it's usually a hotelier who sits on it, but not always, because Daryl Black is, the manager of Zion's Bank, and he's the longest TTAB board member that we have.
But we basically, as a town, we get to put forward someone to.
Yes, yes, to fill Linda's role, yeah. And, Bluff is the highest contributor to TRT tax as a community at this point. We equal just about evenly with Blanding Monticello's combined contributions. Since Goulding's is not
Yeah.
collecting tax anymore, Mexican still collects TRT tax, but Bluff is the tax
Yeah, we're-
collector for the county.
We're a big one. I guess maybe my suggestion would be, I feel like this would be a good way for us to include the business community and see if we have we wanna put forward a business community member to serve in that role. But I wonder what you think as a business owner, or if you think it'd be better that one of us did it.
I think it would be better if it was a governing body personally, because we do have 2 business owner representors already. So I would still like, I like it because I think it's a way to let the town government really know what's happening with the business community and with our, our sales revenues and things like that. So it goes, like I said, it goes to developing marketing strategies. Who are we being represented by, by our social media company, or not social media companies, but who does our media designing and things like that on the county level. It's certainly not town level. But there is also some grant consideration and things like that happen through TRT.
How would you compare that role, that board with the Economic Development Board?
Economic Development Board is more for job creation in the county. And they actually approve more grant stuff than the TTAB board does. And there are 2 different, so San Juan County used to lump both economic development and tourism together under one office, and they are still sitting under one office, but they're two different departments at this point in time. So TRT is managed mostly by Allison Yamamoto Sparks, and the ED board is governed by Natalia Hansen.
I
So,
guess,
they
you know,
talk to each
between
other.
those two boards, I'm willing to do one of them, but probably would prefer not to try to do both of them. Wonder if anybody else on the council had an interest
I
in.
mean, I'm interested in the economic development board, just because, I mean, my job, I hire people all the time, thinking about it constantly, so,
Yeah. Malia, I saw you lift your hand.
Yeah, I could potentially be interested in the tourism tax advisory board if you would want to appoint.
So I'm rolling my head on that one too.
I'm interested in both.
I'm interested.
Yeah, depending on how often they meet. I think Erin would be better because she's budget conscious.
But I also, you know, in terms of career development and everything, I think any of these are fine, so.
Okay,
They meet.
my guess would be if this is a Bluff seat, then this is an appointment thing, so this is I would appoint and you guys would advise and consent sort of deal.
Mhm.
Would be the way.
I believe so.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we as a board, when we have a vacancy in other ways, we, you know, open it up for applications and then we approve whoever it is. But with the town specific appointed seats, I don't think, well, I haven't seen anybody turn over since I've been on the board, but I think that it's just, this is the town representative.
Well, we'll maybe double check that, but you know, essentially it's. Y'all would agree with the appointment that I make and you have to, you know, if you don't like that, then I have to come up with another person sort of deal.
Can I make the list of who's interested in what, so we can?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind keeping that, I don't hear anybody arguing with Rick for the economic development.
Others for TRT?
And so then TRT was.
EPA.
GTAB, I think, was basically Malia and Aaron, which I'd be fine.
Excellent.
And then the next one down is the local homeless coordinating council. And this one, Aaron, it was a little less obvious to me, like how critical it is that we put someone forward on this. Do you have any thoughts on that?
You know, that, I had the same question. It does seem as though, so they are doing a point in time, survey, end of January. It does seem as though they need representation from each of the communities. I know Anne, she had an interest in this, so she, you know, always kind of self-selected for it. I don't know how urgent it is to fill it, if, you know, I think it would be good to fill. But if I need to get more information, there are links on the far right side, if you want to go check out the landing pages. But if you need more information, I can definitely help seek some more information so people understand what they're saying.
Is it one that we have to have filled by a council member, or can it be a community member? Because if it's a community member, I would highly suggest that we still keep our
That's a good
past mayor as the,
question.
she's already, if she's willing to do it still, she's already very familiar with point time and.
That was kind of my thought was that I think we want to be judicious about how many of these responsibilities we take on.
Right.
And where we can pull in community members to serve good roles, that's great civic engagement, people being involved in the town. And so I guess I would say on this one, if none of you feel, you know, strongly about doing that, why don't we ask Mayor Lepinen if she wants to continue serving? And if she doesn't, maybe we can put it out there to the community and see, if someone else is interested, so. Could I ask,
Yes.
staff to just look into that? If it doesn't have to be an elected official.
yeah.
If it does need to be an elected official, then that's something that I would consider doing, because I don't think that they meet very often.
Yeah.
Like, it's mostly the point in time count
Yeah.
and some information about that.
Okay,
Yeah, but
that's a good,
any spot where we can let people touch the government without having like a huge commitment.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, involvement in the community. Obviously, I'll do the Serta's mayor's meeting, I maybe have an email in my inbox on that.
Real fast.
Yeah.
We hope so.
I guess there's a lot here, real quick before, this is time sensitive. I spoke with Lois Young, who has been representing us on the county health board. And her term is up like this month essentially. And the county is totally good with her like continuing to serve in that role. Lois didn't know exactly whether or not this was like something we appoint or if they can just, re-up her term, and she was gonna look into that. My sense of things would be that she's developed relationships up there, she's attended these meetings. That she's, a good person to represent Bluff, that I would lean towards just having her continue to do that unless, again, someone was like, no, I really want to get on the health board. So if you guys are okay with that, I think we'll just continue with that. And I'll find out from her if there's an official action we need to take, or if she's just good to continue on in that role.
I'm sorry, that column did not get filled out. It's really this week.
No worries. No worries. She had reached out to me because it was kind of, I guess, Mac at the county was kind of eager to continue that position. So I was like, as long as you guys are okay with that, I'll just let her know to run the traps on that. And then if we need to do a whole letter or something like that. That was the other time sensitive one that I heard from her. For those of you that have looked at these, are there other really specific ones that you're really interested in participating in, or that you think are really critical that we make sure is filled? There's a few on here that I would open up for discussion, but I want
Well, another kind of time sensitive one, and I really appreciated Linda and Ann's hard work in attending Bluff Waterworks meetings, because it, it just gives people a sense, and we have Bluff Waterworks meeting tomorrow. So, they're the second Wednesday of the month, and we try to keep them very short and sweet. Trust me, like 15 minutes is usually the time commitment for this meeting.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important in continuing to develop a working relationship with Bluff Waterworks, that the town council stays up on the comings and goings of what's happening with the water department. I am an employee of the water department. I do attend those meetings every single time, but I sit as an employee, and I like to have other representation from the town.
I mean, I'm happy to do
I'll
those.
do that.
Yeah.
I could also,
So when we do this, I think our relationship with the water board is really critical. One of the first meetings I took, actually it was the day I became mayor, was I sat down with Marks and Steve for 2 hours. And I think obviously the water is so important to our town, we just want to be a good working relationship. And so showing up is always important. So I think I will plan to go fairly often, but like I can't go tomorrow. So.
And this isn't a committee or anything.
No, it's
So if
just,
it was Ann and Linda, if one of them couldn't say, past meetings, they'd, hey, I can't go to the water board, can somebody else cover for me, or whatever, but.
I also do want to know, like, this is another entity's public meeting. If more than if a quorum of our members show up, as long as you're not talking about, it should be a noticed meeting, but it's another entity. So as long as you're attending, not making decisions for the town of Bluff, not promising what we're gonna do. If you're collecting information, that's just fine. If you're, if you guys host a joint work session, of course, we're gonna notice that. But I do wanna recognize that, like, you're allowed to show up to those meetings, especially, as business owners, as individuals. So I think this is helpful to know, like, hey, we're gonna have a representative there, but if there's a whole strong, hey, we all want to attend, that's okay. So
Yeah.
just note that.
Let's work to have one of us be there, and like I agree multiple times. Can someone go tomorrow?
Yeah, I can go tomorrow.
Okay.
We should set it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, well, yes.
So that's the second Wednesday, not the second Tuesday,
Second Wednesday.
Oh, do I have
at
a
7 PM. Yeah,
Thanks.
Second
Thanks,
Wednesday.
thanks for reading that. That's one I wanted to raise too. I think there's a lot of potential collaboration over time and we want that relationship to be good.
Well, and as for time commitment, I mean, really, I am not even kidding when I say that usually our meetings do not go over 15 minutes. I mean, often they're like 5 to 10.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Just make sure 4 of us aren't showing up, 5 of us aren't showing up, because we'll just run out of room in that little library.
Just bring a chair. We have limited chairs in there, but.
Other priority ones to discuss that is on the school committee's mind. One that is on my mind is just planning and zoning. Y'all, I think will recall that I think fairly often in the past, Luann was kind of attending as kind of a liaison, for lack of a better term, between the council and P and Z. And, you know, I think usually you attend, don't you, Erin? You know, to kind of help with minutes and stuff like
Try.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
try.
And so I guess it's worth us discussion whether or not we want to have someone consistently attending the way Luann was to be a liaison or not. I'd love, Malia, if you have any thoughts on that, having served on that board, and was that a valuable thing and not valuable thing? Nothing about Luann, but just like the idea of a liaison, what your thoughts are on that?
It's valuable because we would place it on the agenda of a town council update. So that anything that she thought maybe applied to planning and zoning from town council, she could bring to us and answer any questions, which was really helpful. Because not all the planning and zoning commissioners are able to attend every town council meeting. And so it's nice to just have a representative to have a little bit of that conversation, kind of the same way that the building department, the same way that Kristen does, is comes in and just provides a report. And then Luann was able to report back to council and say, this is what happened, this is what they're working on, and they have this question for you. So it's just made it a little bit easier.
I mean, I like the idea myself. I think it could be one of those where if one of us was the lead and couldn't attend, tackle someone else to take the place, but you're the kind of person in charge that one person from the council is there. Just how do people feel about that? Anybody want to take the lead of being the liaison?
What days are
there
there?
are a bunch.
Yeah, I don't know about that group.
It's Thursday, every
Thursdays now?
First and third.
first and third Thursdays.
I have an additional thought. Or it could be added to the chair's responsibility of just reporting to the town council. The
Planning and
planning
zoning's chair.
Planning zoning's chair reporting to us,
Well, they're already asking them to do.
Yeah, we're-
Such a lift.
kind of a lot, but
It's sensitive with.
I mean, we could ask.
Motivation for, like,
Yeah.
so,
Um,
I mean, I'm happy to be backup. I'm a little nervous to say I'd take the lead on it.
yeah,
Just,
I mean, what if we had, I mean, since you're off in there, Aaron, what if maybe you just,
That was my thought, is like not to be like, oh, Aaron and Malia, but we're already at those meetings. I feel like, you know, if I'm responsible for, you know. I think that makes sense, especially if we are, like, if someone's excited to attend, you should do so. But maybe for like routine check-ins and, hey, this needs to get to town council for, like, it kind of feels like that's an administrative.
so
No, but
I like that idea, if you're willing to do it. I mean, I plan to try to attend as many of them as I can, but it's just, it's a lot of meetings,
Yeah.
But maybe if you could flag for us, hey, this would be a meeting that would be particularly helpful to have a council member at, or that sort of thing.
I think so too. And then, you know, maybe just this idea of like, hey, it's good to show face. So like, if you want to stop into one, just to have like that better collaboration and work atmosphere, I think that would be more beneficial than saying, I'm gonna be at every, one person's gonna be at everyone all the time.
Yeah.
that seems like a lot.
Well, since they meet twice a month and they are fairly lengthy meetings. Would it be appropriate to kind of have a rotating schedule and we all take a turn at, just.
Yeah.
We had talked about that kind of with the commissioner meetings as well,
Yes.
that it would be good to have different faces of the Bluff Town Council at commission meetings, but with planning and zoning, maybe rather than saying, okay, you're slated twice a week to now attend another often, at least hour-long meeting. Maybe we could just rotate through.
Yeah, what would be the logistics of making sure we have that rotation?
I was just thinking that we could even just kind of divvy out the dates since they've got them.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too, since they're set
But
dates.
if we wanted to do it that way, I do think you being on it makes most
Just
sense.
like a regular update, like, hey, administratively, because I provide update, well,
And if you're
yeah.
there for questions too, like you're gonna be the one
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah, I guess I would just, because it's just logistically challenging to, do the rotation. I would say if you're going to do it, flag for us when there, we really should have a council member there, maybe. I'm gonna try to go to a lot of them just because, I think it's valuable for learning for me, but I won't be able to do all of them.
Not to get off topic, how many vacancies do we have in that right now?
so they're all full.
They're full.
Yeah,
I
so
thought
we-
some others,
Yeah,
We appointed
two
Oh, okay.
new appointments,
That's right, that's
they're,
right.
they're
that's right.
taking
Yeah, there we go. Okay, yep,
full board,
there we go.
very exciting.
So, yeah, that was just full.
Thank you.
But we do have two coming up at the end of the year, we need to
Right,
Okay.
be on
three coming up at the end of the year, actually, because one is a
Oh, yeah.
midterm.
And was that, oh, it's, okay, so Caitlin was the short one, I couldn't remember who did the short.
So yeah, so we'll have three at the end of the year, so start drumming them up now. I guess with everything, I would recommend that you also might look at the San Juan County Commission.
Yeah.
Meetings, and again, it's not participative, it is merely understanding the goings on, some of them are, very pertinent and there's interesting stuff going on, some of them don't apply to us at all. And we don't really know until the agendas are out. But
And remind me when the agenda usually comes out.
they usually have it out, usually at least 72 hours before, but they're Tuesday, the first and third Tuesday of every month at 11.
They do it through,
They have Zoom participation, otherwise it's up in Monticello if you're passing through. This is the one that Jen and I had stated that like maybe it would be good to have rotating through, so they are meeting more of Bluff Town Council. And then, same thing, it is kind of like a midday meeting, but to always say that you're available at 11 AM on Tuesdays, kind of hard, since you have a meeting at 4 o'clock Tuesday.
Yeah, I guess my suggestion is, even back when I was a friend of Cedar Base, I tried to like stay on top of it but, because there's always things relevant going on, but. I guess my thought would be really good for us to have relationships at the county. Your FaceTime, is way more than being on Zoom, you know what I mean? So if we could go on somewhat regular basis, great. But it is just such a commitment to drive up there in the middle of the day and everything. So, but I wonder if, between a couple of us monitoring those agendas, we could be like, this is when we should really be there. You know what I mean? Like that we have a mechanism for flagging. Hey, couldn't anybody make it up there this Tuesday? They're talking about this or that. And, that's, it's a lot to, monitor those agendas. But, I used to be signed up for them and I'm not anymore, but I could sign up those. Look at them fairly regularly.
I am signed up, I don't look through regularly.
How do you sign up for the?
Through the Utah Public Notice website, you can just, anytime that they post anything, agendas, meeting minutes, audio recordings, it just sends an email to you and lets you know what and when.
Okay.
Well, why don't we, not to add more, but like, why don't we, maybe between the two of us, we try to do our best at monitoring those agendas. And then flagging for when it be there and then when we should really be there. And then maybe just as all of us, maybe I'll suggest that we all just put it on our calendars. And if there's, if you're going through Monticello and you can engineer your schedule to be around there, I think that's good. We need to do other things to have a relation with the county, as well. Like Gary and I are gonna go meet with the county sheriff here in a little bit, and just as a hey, we're new, we're new now, council members, we need a good relationship with the sheriff department, that kind of thing. We should do lots of those kind of things, but, let's just all keep it on our radar when the meetings are, and then we'll try to flag for people when they're big going on.
Try to I'll sign up to be attended too, so I can help.
That would be awesome and very appreciative.
There's a couple of, committees here that, Aaron and I have talked about that we're gonna look into a little bit further, but, one is the roads department committee. We don't think it was like a formally necessarily created committee. But it's been kind of Michael and Luann. And my suggestion for the way we handle this going forward is that, we now have Michael as essentially a staff person as managing that. And my recommendation is that we would have Michael and the staff make the recommendations to the council, but then there not be a separate committee of two council members or what have you, that like those decisions, I think, should be council decisions. And, we can have the staff make a recommendation to us. So rather than having that be a separate committee, just have the staff making recommendations to the council, and then we just make the decisions as council.
Can we request that we have more regular updates from the road committee? I mean, I'm very grateful for all the work that's been done in the last month and a half. But I feel like we got absolute last minute notice about, I got told by my neighbor, oh, they're working on our road. I was like, oh, they are? I mean, that made me look really dumb. I'm like, oh, here I am. I do pay attention and have no meetings. We're not supposed to be working on our road, But so if we could get just some more communication from the transportation, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, I think there's a good bit for us to work on, with regard to roads, and I mentioned the budget issues we need to talk about, but I think I agree, like I had a community member mention a similar thing, that they didn't know their road in their neighborhood was getting worked on. And, I think it's hard to keep everybody up to date, but I think that's the systems we want to do, because people will be happier when they, are not trying to get out of their driveway.
Well, and I mean, I think all of us are grateful for any road work that we can possibly get done. It's just, it's just kind of like.
A little bit more notice.
Not even necessarily, I understand that things happen on the last minute too, but I think, like I guess my thing with second is that, I felt like we were up to date, and I knew that the work was going on Southwest, and I knew that the work was going on in Cat Canyon, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, and now they're doing second. And I was like, wait, we never talked about doing work on second. And I know that it was a high priority road, and that was it, but just, I think we could have more of a, if we have extra time and money, this is what I would like to tackle next type thing.
I mean, just community involvement is really good, and to the extent that we can be notifying folks, even if it's just an email. Those sort of things, those are all things for us to improve. We're a small town.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, to the extent we can keep working on that, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm happy to work with Michael in whatever way, if you want me to be that person, I can. Not as a committee, but just.
Yeah, I guess my thought is, instead of it being some formal committee, I think it's great to have a council liaison there, but I do think it's like a good, it's kind of a staff, it's mostly a staff thing to come to us with decisions and work out systems for notifying people and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think, especially since the council did vote to bring him on as a paid staff member, especially at that particular rate of pay, it seems as though, and again, we got different folks in the room here, but that's a level of trust with that expertise. There's like we'll need to develop like a full job description that goes with that, and I think if you're putting that much towards it, you should trust that as well as the engineering firm that we're paying to recommend the priorities. Now, of course, they are public funds that, you know, you all need to, you know, approve to allocate, but that's a very different level of responsibility than like you know, I don't even know what to compare it to necessarily, but it definitely feels like a different level of responsibility that you're entrusting them to make recommendations that are very well thought out and technical.
Maybe I'm off base, but my perception was that it made Michael's life harder. Like it made him like things that seem apparent. It's like.
Sometimes I agree, but I think kind of the roles that Linda that Lou and Ann were good at. Fulfilling as council members were just kind of keeping an ear and eye on things that UDOT was doing that we might be able to take advantage of. You know, I mean, like the bike lane grant and things like that. I feel like if we hadn't had somebody who was, you know, oh, I'm paying attention, UDOT, you know, or speed test studies or things like that. I don't necessarily know that that falls into Michael's department, so if we could have somebody kind of keeping our eye on that, we could miss opportunities, I feel like, if we don't have a radar on that.
It's a really great point.
The active transportation committee, I felt like that was where we were getting some of that.
Well, but that was for that specific grant, and see, I think that's what gave Michael.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's part of my thing is the cooks indication piece, but I'm with you. I think like we want to take advantage of those opportunities.
Right.
And I guess my thought is just like, you know, I don't know if Ann and Luann and Michael had like a regular meeting and they were sitting down and talking, you know, and that was like a committee, or if it was just, you know, it seems like I'm not sure we need that kind of committee type structure as
Right.
opposed to.
Maybe it just makes sense to have one council person, if there's like UDOT alerts or something, that one person signs up and they get those alerts and they can, you know, I mean, they can let us know that, maybe that's all it needs to be. I just think that somebody needs to be monitoring what UDOT is doing. Somebody, you know, I mean, if we have someone that say, hey, we've got this bridge or we have this roundabout that they're going to put at our intersection in town, on Park Hill.
Does it have to be a council member?
I don't know.
Cause I know Luann had talked about
Yeah.
wanting to keep
Yeah.
up her relationship with UDOT.
Mhm.
She had good contacts and I don't know there about that, but
I'm gonna sit down with Luann and just talk to her about what her passions are and stuff, so I'll talk to her a little bit about that. I mean, I think it's not bad for us to have community members that keep bringing things up. I don't think we could keep Luann from doing that if we wanted to, just knowing her, you know, she's the kind of person that's passionate about our community and she's gonna bring things forward. I like the idea of having a council member, you know, so I don't know, Fred, if you wanna, you know, just kind of be tapped in on road stuff and work with Michael on that kind of stuff. And if we can, you know, if we hear like email lists that you should be on or something, we can do that.
Yeah, totally.
Obviously, we'll all keep our.
Yeah, it's kind of like I like Michael a lot. I get along with it well, and then I mean, and I use a lot of these same people, like the engineers are the same engineers I use at work, so.
The cemetery board obviously is a new thing, that people have been applying for. The application deadline was yesterday,
It's today in 1 minute.
today.
Send your emails right
Get your
now.
email in, yeah.
We've had 4 applicants.
Four applicants.
That's great.
So, in terms of the process on that, these are, appointed positions, so again, it's be I'd appoint, and you guys would advise and consent. The board is, you know, the way our rules, what do we call,
There's a
the procedures.
board policy.
Board policy. The board policy is that these boards could be 3 to 5 members. And my inclination is for us is to be at 3 on this one instead of not having too many. And have it be a manageable amount. So anyway, my thought is that we'll take a look at the applicants that we get and I'll put forward for your all advice and consent, 3 candidates to serve on that board. Maybe as soon as the next meeting, if I can get through that, my own friend, Chris and I are going away for the weekend, but
It would help, cause I got an inquiry of someone who thinks that there might be a needed plot in the near future. And so I really could use help
Yeah,
from the board.
so, that's gonna be the goal anyway, is to, make some appointments next time around. If anybody has, you guys, some of the people who've been here longer, been involved and feel strongly about this and, what I could, let me know and I'll confer with you as I'm going through and figuring it out. But any thoughts on that as a process?
No, I like keeping it at 3. And I'm happy to help with this, with any part of the cemetery. I find it interesting and same thing cross with other stuff I do for work.
3 on the committee plus board member or 3 in total?
3 total. I mean, to the point, it's like we can always have a liaison type thing like we do with P and Z if some of them felt strongly about it, like if you wanted to be involved in that kind of a way, but this is more, a little more formal because it is, set up in ordinance as a.
I think some of these, it is helpful to have a liaison, because what I'm finding is between our 2 staff members, we're getting tapped on the shoulder a lot to like, hey, what is your policy? Hey, like, what's the budget? Hey, and of course, we want to help as much as possible. But I think if like there was an official who will say, hey, I'll make sure this gets to Josh for the agenda. And that's just like one less thing for staff to have to, of course, we are happy to answer questions. But it would help spread the workload a little bit. So I think for a lot of these, it's nice to at least have a council member who's aware of the goings on, especially when you are, especially when they are tapping into funds, tax dollars, which this one does. And fees, so.
And I think in this one, obviously, Mayor Lefman put so much work into it and she's kind of willing to keep advising a bit on this. I don't think she was gonna apply for one of the board positions, but also we can lean on her a little bit to help with some of that. Maybe get the board off and kind of the first meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah, she had specifically said she wanted to see through the grant that she was, kind of the sponsor for. But she indicated, so she is not one of the applicants, I can say now. She indicated, so this is a 4-year term, and so that's a little beyond the breadth of what she wanted to participate in. And she's been so participatory over the last decade.
5 years.
Yeah.
All right, well, so you will send me the applicants.
Yes.
The applications, and we'll go from there on that one.
Yeah.
There's several other here that are currently filled by people, that I think, it's great, like Michael's on the Transportation Special Service District Board, Zach's on the library board. I don't think those are ones that we really need to do anything about. So I feel like we've covered the boards and commissions for what we need to do at the moment. But any other thoughts?
As for committees, are we okay with, I'm currently on the playground committee, Britt and I are on the DRC.
I had to add playground committee and I had to add dark sky committee.
Oh, I forgot about dark sky.
I forgot about dark sky too, but yeah, playground and dark sky, and I need the full list of the playground folks, but.
Playground.
Those would be under the orange one, right?
Yes.
When we add them. So are these like, you feel like is the playground committee a formal committee?
Yes, we are.
As in like
There's 5 of us.
created by ordinance?
Both.
It was, the members were voted on by the
Yeah.
council. I don't know if there was anything.
I can't remember if we did it by ordinance or not.
I don't think so.
I mean, this was all what we were working on in the last the last few months was kind of the ordinance that managed our committees.
I think this was part of there are town funds going to this, and so we wanted, or the council wanted like an advisory board to say like, hey, we're applying for these grants and we're, or we want to do these things. Here's, advice on this. Can you, like, that one has a matching dollar amount that's gonna come directly from the town, town funds, and so.
I also think it helped because I know early on in the council, there were a lot of people who were going, oh, we need to apply for this grant and going and applying for these grants and not having whole town backing on it, things like that. So I think it got kind of runs a little longer. But playground committee is myself, Malia, Hiroko, Melissa Eggy, and Hannah,
And Sarah.
Whitney.
Sarah.
and yeah, Hannah, Whitney, and Sarah. There's 6 of us.
There's 6 of us.
And it has been a big lift, like doing that, getting up to everything they needed for the grant.
Yeah.
And then,
Have a playground sitting under the pavilion, right? Yeah, that was so.
And they outline us.
So I don't think there's not a need to change that right now.
No, I was just saying, I'm perfectly happy to continue to serve on that. I just didn't know it. And more in particular with DRC, maybe than others. I'm happy to stay on, I kind of ran on the DRC bandwagon. I'm more than happy to.
DRC,
Or, I mean, not DRC, yeah, Design Review Committee for.
oh, yeah,
For
for
the
the
CCC.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm happy to stay on that too, so I feel like,
Sarah.
yeah, I'm happy to stay on the URC too, it's a moving train.
Yeah.
So,
But if any of you want more update on what we're doing with that or something, just.
Well,
I guess
I
that's
need
where I
to
was
get, I need to
approaching
get
it
up to speed on that, so at some point, maybe we could. A couple of us could do a tour, probably shouldn't be 3 of us, so we'll have to have a meeting, but. Go do a little bit of the tour and talk through that with Maureen.
Well, and I kind of feel like we have 3 people sitting on that at this point, but when we developed the DRC, the Design Review Committee, we were gonna have equal representation between the town of Bluff and Utah Tenaya. So therefore, we had 2 town board members sitting on it and 2 Utah Tenaya board members sitting on it. And then Malia, as our project manager, was kind of the overseer of it. Now that Utah Tenaya is no longer involved, it's been the 3 of us who have been since the inception. But there's no reason in my mind, other than we'd have to have special or whatever special notification if somebody else wanted to come and sit in those. I feel like with plan overviews and stuff like that, the more eyes we can have on these things, the better off we all are.
It is a significant part of your budget. I mean, it
Yeah.
actually doubles
Huge.
our annual
Yeah.
budget, the project, or quadruples, if we get to fruition like this, it's a huge.
Well, and it's a big capital spend that the town already has, and I think it's important that we manage it correctly and try to make it, my hope is that we make it successful and not make it an albatross all over our necks.
Yeah,
and as things have stuttered, with it stutter started, it's not been like every Thursday we're having a meeting, it's as.
No, yeah, for a while, we were having one every Thursday, but we haven't had one for a while.
Since, yeah, basically, I mean, yeah, we would have kept that stride if we wouldn't have lost the funding.
all right, well, appreciate the work on that. I think, I like the idea of us doing maybe a work session over there, like as a tour and layer, especially for our student folks.
Yeah.
And just.
Yeah, just kind of explain, I mean, cause I think 3 of us kind of have a vision of it that's not necessarily ever been made official per se, but kind of
Documents.
yeah. We do have architectural plans, so.
Yeah. So, all right, do we feel like we've sufficiently talked through boards for what we need, for what our brain cells can handle for?
Is there anything else you're dying to sit on?
Yeah, recliner, yes, recliner board. Thank you, cheers.
Yeah, well, okay, so we've talked about for 2 years now, finding better chairs. Can we put that on some-
Oh, I'm all for it, this is.
All right,
Piano
Britt, I am gonna have to do next week's meeting, from the road.
Okay.
If you can
I'll be here.
make sure you're here to run it if my internet's not great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll try to make sure I have good internet, so.
I'm used to scrambling right before if it doesn't work out, so no worries.
Like, giving you the heads up, giving you the heads up now. Okay. With that, I think we can conclude our work session. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, thanks, everybody.
Others,
What's that?
some others.
You got some others.
I have some others.
Okay.
Tomorrow is our pre-bid, mandatory pre-bid playground meeting at 1 o'clock. And for the sidewalk perimeter. And. Okay, so I thought I had something else, but I guess not.
Water board.
Is there you need anybody's help with that?
Say that again,
Do you
please.
need anybody's help with that?
It'll be Hannah and I leading the meeting, leading the pre-bid meeting. So if anybody wants to come join, you're welcome to come. And Jen.
Okay.
So playground committee will be leading it.
More like you guys handle that. Cool. All right, thanks, everybody.
It is 5:10 PM and we are turning the recorder off.